The Minnesota Timberwolves was just what the doctor ordered for the Golden State Warriors on Monday night as they blew away the T-Wolves in the fourth quarter, winning by 22 points and dropping 130. We'll see if the Warriors can double down on the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight at Chase Center as we welcome you all to Warriors Pregame Live, presented by Comcast Business. Bonta Hill, the Hall of Famer Chris Mullin, NBA champ Darrell Wright, and Mully. It was all about two-way wigs on Monday night. 23.6 rebounds, but more importantly, the 3 blocks and 3 steals. Two-way wigs is living up to his nickname.
Playing against his former team, had a great outing, both offensively and defensively. He's been efficient, and most importantly, Darrell, he's been consistent all season long.
Well, you talk about consistency, Mully. What about this number 30 guy? He's had 9 games with at least 5 threes in a game, including Monday night, where he scored 15 points in just over 3 minutes of the fourth quarter to put away the T-Wolves, Darrell.
Inches Curry. Coach Kerr tapped that right wrist, bring the closer in. He closed it out.
There's no doubt about that. And Curry will have some special things going on tonight with his shoe game. We'll discuss that a little bit later. Monty Poole will join the show, as well as Garrett Burke. All that coming up right here on Warriors Pregame Live, presented by Comcast Business.
Warriors Pregame Live is presented by Comcast Business, keeping you and your business connected. When every connection counts, you can count on Comcast Business.
Before hitting the roads for the Texas, they got to play Texas. Dallas Mavericks twice in a row, and then the San Antonio Spurs down in Texas. But tonight they have to handle business here as we welcome you back to Warriors Pregame Live, presented by Comcast Business. And Mully, these are the games you got to have for a team that is 9-8, battling with 500. When you look at the teams like the Timberwolves, these are the games you got to have if you want to make a playoff push.
Absolutely, and playing them without Karl-Anthony Towns and without D'Angelo Russell. And this is still a team that struggles to score. And they struggle defending. But most importantly, we're going to have Andrew Wiggins and Steph Curry sharing that basketball and just being aggressive. You know, if they come out focused, sticking to the scouting report, this will be, I won't say an easy win, but it should be a wire-to-wire win. You know, you're playing a team, as I said, without their 2 top players, and a team that's really developing young guys. And as Steve Kerr said, you don't develop in the games, but that's actually what Minnesota's doing right now.
100%, and they have to bring that energy. They have to bring that focus tonight because, like you said, it's a young, inexperienced team, and it's going to be so important to get off to a great start. Not even let those guys think they have a chance of being in the game or competing at a high level. So go out there, you know, get it done on the defensive end, share the ball a little bit more, get back to those 30 assists,
no doubt,
and close them out.
Yeah, Steve Kerr said it was a choppy game on Monday night. Choppy game, 21 assists overall. A lot of isolation basketball, play more team ball, as Darrell just said.
Well, they got up early, right? And they let Minnesota creep back in, and Steve had to go back to Steph Curry,
right,
and Andrew Wiggins in the fourth quarter. So I think when you're battling a team like they are tonight, you've got to take care of the fundamentals. So the Timberwolves, they shoot 43%. They're down at the bottom of the league in field goal percent. What does that mean? A lot of rebounds. So make sure your defense rebound, and don't give them extra possessions. So watch your turnovers.
No doubt. Let's bring in Warriors reporter Garrett Burke here, courtesy of Comcast Business. Every connection counts. Good evening, Garrett. Excuse me, I almost called you Kerr there because Kerr made a change to the starting lineup. He's been talking about making a tweak there, and he finally made the change. But it was a little bit of a surprise going with Kevon Looney instead of James Wiseman in that starting unit.
Yeah, well, let's talk about what Kevon Looney gives you, because you're right. If you look at his stats, they're not eye-popping. You know, in 18 minutes in the last game, he had 2 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. But look over at plus-minus. He was a plus 21. So what Kevon Looney gives you is dependability and relatively mistake-free basketball. No missed rotations, no turnovers. He's sliding over to help. And then on offense, he's going to give you good, hard screens to get Steph Curry and Andrew Wiggins open. So I asked Kevon, how do you measure a good game? When your stats aren't flashy, how do you know that you performed well? Here's what he said.
No, first I always go to rebounding. That's something that my dad always talked to me about. Boxing out, hitting off the glass, and doing that. That's important to me. But for me, it just having an impact. It might not be scoring, but getting Steph open or getting rebounds and not turning the ball over and not missing like the small mistakes. I know when I go out there and I miss a couple rotations or I might have a turnover here and there or I drop a pad, that's why I know I'm playing bad. I know expect myself to play a mistake-free basketball when I go out there, and I try to go out there and play. I know it's hard to play perfect, but play as perfect as I can, and not missing rotations, being able to talk everybody through the screens and do things like that. That's kind of how I measure how good I'm playing. I don't really look at how many points I score, but when I come in, if we're able to get 3 stops in a row, or I'm able to get Wiggins a shot off a screen or Steph a stop off a screen, I know I'm playing well.
Yeah, Kevon plays with poise, and Steve Kerr said he's just a smart player with good feel. We know that Kevon Looney is going to start again tonight, so the question is, how long are the Warriors going to go with the starting 5? And you have to remember, this is not a demotion for James Wiseman. His development is extremely important. This was just a way to shake up the starting 5, give it a fresh look, and to start with a little more defense that's been missing for the Warriors, Steve has been explaining. So you will see James Wiseman back, but at this moment, we know that it'll just be soon. No date yet.
That we saw during the 5-year run to the NBA Finals with the Golden State Warriors, a revolving door at the center position. Kev, thank you so much for that. Kevon Looney, and that leads us right into our storylines here about James Wiseman. James Wiseman, as you said the other night, Mully, it's not a demotion. It's just a different role for the young man. Well, look, in his last 4 games, he's averaging nearly 16 points per game. He had a solid night Monday, 13 points in only 15, 16 minutes there, 4 rebounds and 2 block shots. You want to see him crash the glass a little bit more, but the point production is right there for James Wiseman.
His efficiency's been steady all season long. I think he's the type of player that can handle this role. He's going to go out and play his game. He's got great instincts. He knows how to get open. He knows the spaces to be at. Just an impressive young player that continues to develop, not just in the game, practices, film work. They play 3-on-3 on off days. So sky's the limit for this kid, and I love the way he handled this role change.
Yeah, and young players, you always want to see their body language when they, have less minutes or they change their role. And I feel like he came in the game with great body language. He went out there, he competed at a high level. He was aggressive on the offensive end. And like Mully said, this kid's going to be really, really good. So every day is a learning step. I know we've been saying that like a broken record on here, but every day is a learning step for him. So he's going to continue to get better the more reps he gets.
Darrell, didn't the game look like it slowed down for him? Just coming off the bench Monday night in his first bench performance. Yeah. I mean, it looked like the game slowed down for him, and he's still right there when it comes to the Rookie of the Year conversation because the points, the rebounds, it's all right there.
Yeah, I think so. Half of my career I came off the bench, and I felt like that was the best opportunity for me to see what the other team is doing. Now I can read where I need to bring energy, where I need to make shots at, how the guy I'm guarding is playing. So I think it's good for him to see that. So I think he's doing a good job so far.
12 points, 6 rebounds, 1.5 blocks. That's impressive for a kid that's just learning on the job. And that's going to continue to grow. And this was as much a change to get the team back on track than it was James Wiseman or Kevon Looney. And on Kevon Looney, I mean, he's the typical guy you have to watch for the screen assist. Right. And some plays the other night I noticed, as soon as Wiggins gave the ball up, when you're a scorer, Darrell, you know this, and you know a guy is always going to screen for you or get the ball back to you, that adds to the rhythm of the game. Yes. So when Steph gives it up and he sees Kevon, he knows he's looking for him, or if he gives it up, he knows he's going to get a screen. So there's comfort and chemistry with those 3 players.
And they got off to a solid start on Monday night. Plus 11 at the end of the first quarter. The 4 of the last 5, they were -9, -13, -12 against those really good teams like the Jazz and the LA Lakers. Our other storyline here, this is always one of my favorites here. The team total, the Warriors averaging 112 points and a half on the season. That over-under tonight is 119.5. They scored 130 on Monday. I'm going to start with Darrell here because Mully's been on fire here. Darrell, what do you think here? 119.5? Over or under tonight?
Listen, Vontae, I'm superstitious, so we might have to go with Mully first, and I think I'm going to roll with him. He's on fire right now, so we got to go with Mully,
man. Check, Mully.
Over. It's over, baby. It's over. 120 with the W, baby.
Well, again, that's 8 points over the Warriors' average, but Minnesota, as you said, they struggle all over the place here. All over the place.
Baby. Let's go.
Mully and Darrell going over. We're riding the coattails.
No D'Lo.
We won't see D'Lo tonight. We'll discuss D'Lo and the Minnesota Timberwolves coming up here on Warriors Pregame Live, presented by Comcast Business.
This Sportsnet Central update is presented.
And again, no D'Angelo Russell, who's out with a right quad contusion in 14 games with the T-Wolves. Last year, averaged over 20 and a half points, 5.5 assists, and 3 rebounds. No D'Lo, no Karl-Anthony Towns, and of course, Anthony Edwards comes off the bench. I caught up with Dave Benz, the television voice of the Minnesota Timberwolves, to talk about Karl-Anthony Towns, D'Lo, Anthony Edwards, and reevaluating the trade that sent D'Lo to Minnesota for Andrew Wiggins. Let's reevaluate the trade that sent D'Angelo Russell to Minnesota for Andrew Wiggins and a first-round pick. What's the feeling in Minnesota these days about that deal?
The Minnesota perspective is that we just don't know yet, to be honest with you. I mean, this deal was made because Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell not only are very good friends, but a lot of people feel like they could be a very good fit together the way that D'Lo can run the pick and roll. And since D'Lo arrived, he and Towns have only played 5 games together. I mean, it's, been an unfortunate set of circumstances between, Cat got hurt at the end of last year and then COVID hit, and then the season finally started again. Cat gets hurt 2 games in, and then he finally comes back, and then he ends up testing positive for COVID. So it's just been, it's an incomplete for sure.
Dave, we know that Cat and D'Lo are tight off the court, but how has their relationship developed on the court? You mentioned 5 games so far this season in the limited time that they shared so far on it, but how is their relationship on the court when they do play together?
I mean, it looks like there's some, things to be excited about there, that they're going to complement each other well. But, I mean, to be honest with you, it's been so just infrequent. And, the first 2 games of the season, they got out of the gates great. They played great together against Detroit, which obviously is not having a very good year. But then they go to Salt Lake City. They beat the Jazz on their home floor in their road opener. They look fantastic. That's the game when Cat gets hurt. And since then, they've had 2 other games together. But it's really... there's been no consistency. So you like what you see in small doses, but you want to see more of it.
We have seen Anthony Edwards, of course, the #1 overall draft pick in the last NBA draft. And we know there's a lot of debate out here. Who would it be, Edwards, Wiseman, or LaMelo Ball, who ended up going to Charlotte at #3 overall. But let's talk about Anthony Edwards for a second here. He showed the athleticism the last time out against the Golden State Warriors. That dunk over Wiseman was really, really, really impressive. His road home splits, he's averaging like 16 on the road, 9 at home. So the potential is there. Is he progressing as expected, ahead of the curve or behind it?
I mean, he's had some flashes like the dunk you said about Wiseman, and then he's had nights where a couple of games ago against Atlanta, he went 2 for 16 and, threw it off the side of the backboard on a 3-point try. So I think that you get to see why the team is excited about him, why they're high on him, but you also see a kid who's 19 years old who reclassified in high school up so that he could graduate early. He's not going to be 20 until August. And all of a sudden, he's got this pressure of being the #1 overall pick and going to a team that has its best players sidelined for such a long period of time. And you expect to have him carry more of the role. And he had to come in a season when there's no summer league, no chance really to get a chance to, know your teammates or know the NBA life. So I think all things considered, he's doing pretty well. He's leading the NBA in scoring for rookies. He's averaging nearly 1.5 points per game per possession on isolation plays. So when you get him the ball, he's able to get productive things to happen. But clearly, as a 19-year-old kid, he's still got a lot to learn about being in the NBA.
Hey, Dave, keep up the great work in Minnesota. We always miss you here in the Bay Area. Have a great call tonight, and we'll catch up soon.
All right, thanks for having me on. Take care, guys.
All right, Dave Benz, the voice of the Minnesota Timberwolves on the television side. What we didn't get to there was Jim Peterson, his broadcast partner. And Mully, you know all about Jim Peterson. He is a hoot. Tell us a little bit about playing with Jim Peterson, who's a color analyst for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, one of my favorite teammates, just a great team guy. Was a big-time player for the Houston Rockets when he went to the finals with Ralph Sampson and Hakeem Olajuwon. Does a great job broadcasting the games. And a little inside to the 1989 earthquake. Jim Peterson and I were in bench pressing together when that place started shaking.
Oh, man.
we ran out of the Oakland Coliseum real quick.
You weren't getting ready for the Battle of the Bay.
I was going to come over to the World Series. I was getting my work on heading over the bridge.
Look at this guy putting in that work, Darrell. Putting in that work. But he said a lot of things about Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Lo. Before we get the Wigs here for a second, but Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Lo. Can they carry a franchise and catapult the T-Wolves back into the elite teams? Maybe not even elite teams, but just a playoff team in a Western Conference.
I think so. It's two young, talented guys. Two guys that have, kind of put their footprint in the NBA so far, and I think they can really score it up. So I think the biggest thing is getting those guys around them. That's what's going to be important for two guys like that. You got Beasley out there, you got Rubio. So it's going to be really up to the guys around them, because I think every single night on a consistent basis, those two guys can score it up and get wins for their team.
As Dave Ben said, it's so incomplete. They haven't played together, but if you look at the talent on paper,
right?
They got the big-time center, big-time scorer in D'Angelo Russell, and an ultra-gifted, talented rookie in Anthony Edwards. Those are three big positions for teams to succeed, and they've got them all.
No doubt about it. Let's talk about Two-Way Wiggs, who just came over from Minnesota last season in a big blockbuster trade for D'Angelo Russell. Let's give credit to Andrew Wiggins, courtesy of our good friends at Provident Credit Union. Two-Way Wiggs, baby. Is it Maple Jordan or Two-Way Wiggs? I like Two-Way Wiggs a lot better. As you see the splits, look, the points per game, not much different. They're actually lower with the Golden State Warriors. But, Darrell, it's the efficiency with Two-Way Wiggs that's really popped out this season for the Golden State Warriors, shooting 40% from the three-point line so far on a year.
Yeah, I think he's been getting a lot of opportunities to catch and shoot. I feel like his time in Minnesota, it wasn't nobody really creating for him. So on this team with a bunch of guys as pass-first guys, I think they're finding him around the perimeter, and he's making shots with confidence. So I think it's just a better situation with the playmakers on the team.
Much better fit for Andrew Wiggins, playing with a guy like Steph Curry and Draymond Green. You can see the numbers are not much different, but one thing here, we've seen this move before, and he knocks this shot down with consistency. But now Draymond Green's on his team, not blocking the shot. He's helping him on defense now.
Yeah, and this is a play you're talking about right here, Mother. We've seen this all season. Not the same defender. He got to a spot, comfortable, and he knocks it down with confidence.
And he's been so efficient and so consistent, which was a big question. And I think here you see just a little, to me, when we watched this earlier, Darrell, it looks like he's just following and chasing around. Not in the stand, standing straight up. And here, our old friend Alec Burks, hands down, like my buddy Mark Jackson says, hand down, man down. But he's made the proper adjustments here in Golden State.
And right here, taking the challenge with Kawhi Leonard, not giving up on the screen, not dying on the screen like you've seen in the previous clip, and getting a great contest on a good offensive player.
Yeah, fighting over the screen, multiple effort. Here again, kind of dribbling into his buddy there. That's why I know he loves playing with Draymond, because every time he drove, Draymond was there blocking his shot.
Yeah, and I love how he plays with the second unit when they give him the ball up top, going downhill. It's going to be a hard challenge for, bigger, slower bigs on other teams to contain that.
You see,
and then his demeanor.
Yep.
It could be the weather.
Look at that, he's smiling.
I think it's the fit. I really do. You've seen so many times where he gets the ball out of a double team and he's wide open, shooting a comfortable three-point shot when they close out. Underrated playmaker, really fast with his dribbles downhill.
I've seen him smile more in 17 games with the Warriors, and I'd say his whole entire tenure in Minnesota there. Andrew Wiggins, of course, having a hell of a year. Two-Way Wiggs is what we're calling him here in the Bay Area as he gets to face his former team for the second time in 2 straight games. We'll talk about more Andrew Wiggins, and plus Joe Lacob. We'll hear from him on the other side right here on Warriors Pregame Live, presented by Comcast Business.
This Sportsnet Central update is presented by Atlantis Casino Resort.
Up there, Bully, about getting too close to players. You were a general manager, you're a coach. What is it like to get too close where you do have to make a tough decision? Does feelings get in the way there? I guess it's just human nature, right?
No, I think it's important to get to know your players and as much as you can, everything about them on and off the court to help them succeed. It helps the organization. That's how you develop chemistry. So it's very important. The other part takes care of itself, and it's tough. But it's made easier by developing a strong relationship and developing that respect.
Yeah, I think it's very important. Like you said, Mully, I was blessed enough to go straight to Miami to play for Pat Riley, and he used to sit me in his office weekly, just to have conversations, being a father figure and somebody that I've been looking up to. I respected that. So I think it's very important to, get close to your guys and learn them and see what they like and what their interests are. So I love the fact that, these guys get close to their guys.
What about the jerseys and the banners? We talked about the banners, as you said, Willie. There's plenty of room at Chase Center. Who's next? Do you build statues of the Hamptons 5? Do you go Iguodala, Durant, Draymond, Clay, Steph? That's going to be tough to figure out for this organization. Do you just throw all their numbers up there in the rafters?
That's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
Yep. They had a 5-year incredible dynastic run, and all those players will get their due, and rightfully so.
Yeah, man, go ahead. Put them all up there, man. They deserve it. You know, they changed the culture of this organization, I think, and they deserve it. They got championships, you know, and they got them going.
No doubt.
Statues, jerseys, some guys get both.
Yeah.
You know, a mix and match.
Well, Curry will get both. I wonder with Kevin Durant. Klay Thompson's probably going to get a statue as well. Kevin Durant would be the interesting one, whether or not he gets a statue at Chase Center, even though he didn't play for the Warriors when they moved to Chase Center. Of course, let's look at the 4 starting lineups here. As Steve Kerr made the change on Monday night. Tonight, basically the same thing for Monday. Kevon Looney gets to start. Oubre Jr. still hanging in there. And Kevon Looney, of course, helped that unit get off to a 19-4 start Monday night against Minnesota. They were up 30-13 in that first quarter, so the change did help. We'll see if it works for the second straight game. Here's the head coach, Steve Kerr, on the Warriors, taking on Minnesota tonight and moving forward.
I think it's great for the players and coaches, you know, because it cuts down on travel. It's interesting, especially with a young team, to play a team back-to-back because you can take the film of the first game, immediately assess what you need to work on, and apply it to the very next game. So I like it. On the other hand, we're in the entertainment business. We should be thinking about the fans first. And I think it's better for fans if we spread the games out. You know, because I think teams, you know, maybe LeBron or Steph is injured for a couple games, knock on wood, and you go to San Antonio and the Spurs fans don't get to see Steph or LeBron that whole year because they missed that, you know, those 2 games back to back. Maybe the fans who do go to every game would rather see a team early in the season and then later on in the season to see how that team has matured and developed. That's one of the things I like about basketball is watching teams grow and see them at different stages. So for me, that would be the priority, is to make sure we take care of our fans. They are the lifeblood of our business, and we are an entertainment business. So that would be the priority.
Steve Kerr mentioned the schedule there and the advantage of playing Minnesota twice and cutting down on the travel and cutting, you know, and giving fans a chance to see it. Now, hopefully fans get to the arenas, you get to see these players. But you look at the Warriors so far, they've played Portland back-to-back. They split. They played the Clippers back-to-back. They split. And then we're going to see in the future here 2 straight games at Dallas, 2 straight at San Antonio. I would like to see the NBA adopt this moving forward, Darrell, seeing like kind of a baseball series here where you have 2 straight games against opponents.
Yeah, I love it. I couldn't even imagine how it is on the body, you know, not having to go right after the plane, do treatment in the city at 2 or 3 in the morning, try to recover for the next game. So I think, you know, those guys are getting the proper sleep, the proper rest. They're able to get treatment at a decent hour. So I kind of like it. And I like the baseball, you know, mindset of it, you know, just knocking it out back to back.
Yeah, I'm like you, Bonta. I think it's great. I love that system. But I got to give Steve Kerr a lot of credit. His vision and his perspective, it makes a lot of sense also. Right? So he's always looking beyond the obvious for the players and the coaches. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think they appreciate it. But then you do have to take into account what the fans, most importantly, what they feel about. So maybe take a survey of your season ticket holders and get a little feedback from them.
That's a good call, Mully, here as we'll talk to Monty Poole on the other side about Kelly Oubre Jr. Kelly Oubre Jr. has been a topic of conversation here in the Bay Area all season long. We'll discuss his game, but also some trade rumors that surfaced yesterday. We'll discuss it coming up here on Warriors Pregame Live, presented by Comcast Business.